Before your child turns 10, something powerful is already happening inside them. Quietly, invisibly, every single day. Their future is forming, not their grades, not their talents, but the part of them that predicts who they become at 20, 30, even 40. Researchers who followed children for almost 40 years discovered one skill, built long before puberty, that shapes everything: their health, their confidence, their relationships, their choices, their ability to stay out of trouble, and even their financial stability. Most parents never hear about it. Most kids never learn it. And by the time the world notices the difference, it's already been set. But here's the incredible part. You can start building this skill today, in tiny moments that take less than 10 seconds, and it will follow your child for the rest of their life. For nearly 40 years, researchers in New Zealand followed about 1,000 children from birth into their 30s. It became one of the world's most trusted long-term studies. They wanted to discover which childhood trait best predicted adult outcomes like health, finances, and stability. Most parents assume success starts with intelligence or early achievement. But the data showed something very different. Across ages 3 to 11, psychologists kept coming back to one thing: each child's self-control, their ability to wait, to focus, to manage emotions, and to recover from frustration when life didn't go their way. By age 32, the children with stronger early self-control had better physical health, fewer addictions, more financial stability, and fewer legal problems, even when IQ and family background were taken into account. It wasn't the kids who were the smartest who did best. It was the kids who learned how to pause. So how do you build that kind of self-control before age 10, in a real home, with real stress and real kids who do not sit still and meditate on command? That is where the rules begin. Rule number 1. The 10-second pause. Your child reaches for the cookie the second you open the package. They shout across the room. They interrupt 4 times in 1 minute. Their body moves faster than their brain. And to be honest, sometimes yours does too. You want calmer reactions. You want fewer explosions. You want to feel like you are not walking on eggshells, waiting for the next outburst. But telling a child to be patient is like telling a storm to be quiet. The words sound good, but nothing changes. Instead, you slip in tiny pauses. 10 seconds at a time. Your child reaches for the snack. You gently place your hand over theirs and say, in a calm voice, "Let's pause together." You take one slow breath, then another. You count together to 10. Only then do you hand it over. On its own, it feels small, almost silly. But this is how the brain learns breaks. In the Dunedin study, self-control wasn't one big decision. It was a pattern, repeated over years, of being able to hold back for a moment instead of acting on every impulse. So you build that pattern. You pause before turning on the cartoon. You pause before answering a question. You pause before you say yes. And you pause before you say no. 10 seconds. Over and over. At first your child will groan. They will roll their eyes. They will wiggle. But slowly you will see it. Their hand hovering for a moment instead of snatching. Their mouth closing again as they think. That gap between wanting and doing. That gap is the future the study was measuring. But impulse control does not grow well in chaos. Even adults struggle to pause when life feels like a constant fire drill. That is why the second rule matters so much. Rule number 2. The power of predictable routines. Picture the most stressful times of your day. Mornings before school. Evenings before bed. Transitions, not tasks, are usually where everything falls apart. One moment your child is happily playing. The next, you say, "Time to go," and it is like you just detonated a small bomb in your living room. Kids fall apart when life moves faster than their nervous system can manage. Their body feels yanked from one state to another, and meltdown is the only way they know how to hit the brakes. You might respond with more pressure. "We're going to be late, hurry up." They dig in deeper. Instead, you build small, predictable cues around the moments that always cause trouble. "In 2 minutes, we clean up." "After this song, it is bath time." "When I turn off this light, we head upstairs." You are not just announcing what comes next. You are training their brain to move through time. Every predictable cue gives them a moment to adjust. Their attention shifts. Their body prepares. Their emotions settle instead of spike. Over years, that ability to shift smoothly shows up in exactly the kinds of outcomes the study tracked. Children who could manage transitions were less likely to lash out, less likely to make impulsive choices as teens, and more able to follow through on boring but important tasks as adults. Paying bills, sticking with treatment, showing up for work. Predictability builds stability. Stability makes self-control easier, not harder. But routines alone are not enough. Your child also needs to feel like they have some say in their own life. Rule number 3. One simple choice. Children crave independence. They want to feel that their voice matters. You want that too. You want a child who can think, decide, and speak up in healthy ways. But when you control everything, they push back. When you give them control over everything, they spin out. The middle path is one simple choice. Not a menu of options. Just one safe decision that your child can own. Red cup or blue cup? Brush teeth first or pajamas first? Read on the couch or in your bed? In that moment, their brain has to slow down. They cannot do both. They must think. What do I actually want? That tiny pause is executive function in action. The same kind of mental skill the Dunedin team saw, predicting who stayed out of trouble, who managed money well, and who avoided risky behaviors later on. You are not just trying to make the morning smoother. You are practicing the skill your child will one day use when the choice is not about cups or pajamas, but about friends, substances, or online risks. The habit of choosing instead of reacting starts small. But even the best decision-making falls apart when emotions surge. Logic cannot stand up to a brain that feels flooded. That is where the next rule comes in. Rule number 4. Name it to tame it. Imagine your child's feelings like waves. Some are small ripples. Some are giant, crashing walls of water. When the wave is high, language disappears. You ask, "What's wrong?" And they scream louder or slam the door. Most of us were taught to push big feelings away. "You're fine." "Stop crying." "Don't be so dramatic." Those phrases do not shrink the wave. They just teach kids to hide it, or to explode harder to be heard. Instead, you learn to stand beside the wave and give it a name. You're frustrated because the game ended. You're disappointed we can't go today. You're angry your brother took your toy. You are not approving every behavior. You are simply describing the feeling. When you do, something subtle happens in the brain. Activity shifts from the emotional centers toward the thinking centers. The wave does not vanish, but it becomes more manageable. The Dunedin study did not hook kids up to scanners when they were 5. But decades of related research show the same pattern. Children who can notice and name their feelings have better self-control, better mental health, and fewer impulsive choices later in life. Emotional language is not just soft skills. It is part of the self-control package that predicted adult outcomes across a whole population. Still, even with good language, temptation is hard. And if kids never actually practice waiting, they never get stronger. That is where the 5th rule comes in. Rule number 5. Practice delays. If your child has never waited for anything, every no feels like a disaster. Waiting at the doctor's office, waiting for their turn on the swing, waiting for a package to arrive. Their nervous system treats delay like danger, but avoidance does not build skill. So you introduce waiting in safe, playful ways. You can have the cookie in 10 seconds. Let's count together. We'll open the surprise box after we clean up these toys. It's your turn in 3 rounds. I'll tell you when we get there. At first, your child may grumble, wiggle, or try to rush you. That is okay. You stay calm. You stick with the count. You show them, with your body and your voice, that waiting is uncomfortable, but survivable. In the Dunedin study, children with higher self-control across the first decade of life were less likely to abuse substances, less likely to have financial crises, and less likely to have a criminal record as adults. One big reason? They could tolerate discomfort without immediately reaching for the fastest escape. Practice delays are your child's first training ground for that kind of resilience. But there is one more piece that we have not talked about yet. Because your child is not building self-control in a vacuum. They are building it inside your nervous system. Rule number 6. Borrowed calm. Think about the last time your child had a meltdown. Maybe they screamed over the wrong color bowl. Maybe they threw themselves on the floor because you turned off the tablet. Notice what happened in your body. Did your chest tighten? Did your voice get sharp? Did you feel your own urge to shout, threaten, or shut it down fast? That reaction is human. You are not a robot, but it also teaches. Kids borrow the state of the adult in front of them. When you go into emergency mode, their body does too. Their brain learns, big feelings are a crisis. We panic here. Borrowed calm flips that script. The next time your child's emotions spike, your goal is not to fix the behavior instantly. Your goal is to become the calmest person in the room. You drop your shoulders. You slow your breathing. You lower your voice instead of raising it. You might say, "You're really upset. I'm right here." Then you pause. Not for show. For real. You give your own nervous system a chance to settle so theirs can follow. Over time, your child learns something powerful. Big feelings are intense, but not dangerous. They learn that they can ride out frustration without hitting, screaming, or running away. They learn that the world does not end when they hear "not yet" or "no." The Dunedin study could not put a number on borrowed calm. What it could measure were the long-term effects of a childhood where self-control had the chance to grow. Better health, better finances, fewer risky behaviors. Your calm is the soil that skill grows in. When you put all 6 rules together, something shifts. The 10-second pauses. The predictable routines. The one simple choice. The name it to tame it moments. The practice delays. The borrowed calm. None of them are dramatic. None of them will give you a viral before and after moment on their own. But together, repeated across the first 10 years of life, they slowly change the path your child is walking. The Dunedin study showed that the strongest predictor of your child's future was not intelligence, talent, or perfect parents. It was the everyday ability to manage impulses, emotions, and actions. And the good news is that skill is built, not born. You do not have to get this right every time. You do not have to be calm every moment. What matters is the pattern your child sees most often. A home where big feelings are met with presence, where waiting is practiced, not punished, where choices are guided, not controlled, where adults pause before reacting, and kids slowly learn to do the same. So, here is your challenge. Today, pick one rule. Maybe it is the 10-second pause before you hand over the snack. Maybe it is one simple choice at bedtime. Maybe it is naming one feeling instead of saying, "You're fine." Try it once. Then try it again tomorrow. You will not see the full impact this week. You might not even see it this year. But decades of research tell us this. The small self-control moments you build before age 10 do not disappear. They echo forward into your child's health, their relationships, their money choices, and their safety. And if your child is already older and you are thinking, I missed the window, breathe. The children in the Dunedin study did not have perfect childhoods or perfect parents. Self-control moved in small ways over time. Even in later childhood, kids who gained just a bit more control over their actions still showed better outcomes as adults. That means every pause you add now still matters. Every delayed treat, every named feeling, every calmer response. You are not behind. You are building.